Welcome to And That's When I Realized, the truth and comedy of midlife with me, Susan Dolci.
And me, Leone Dyer. We are two good friends navigating the twists and turns of that middle part of life, and we are laughing our way through it.
Don't get us wrong, it's not all that funny all the time. There's so much we are unprepared for. Adult children, changing bodies, aging parents. We want you to know that you are not alone in these challenges. So sit back, get a front row seat as we share true life stories with a fresh perspective and just a pinch of irreverence. And That's When I Realized starts now.
Hello. Welcome to And That's When I Realized. I'm Leone Dyer.
And I'm Susan Dolci.
And Susan and I are best friends we've been getting together. Was it before the pandemic or during?
Before and during, but yeah.
Before. Okay. And every Friday we would get together and discuss our week and our joys and the challenges. And we kind of realized that when we were in our 20s or 30s, we thought we would have this figured out. And we don't.
So this meaning midlife. Yeah.
Right. That we would no longer have challenges, and we wouldn't be bothered by our triggers, and we would somehow life would be grand at this stage. And so this show is about tackling the comedy and the truth of midlife. And today's show is finding your purpose in midlife. So grab a cup of coffee, iced tea, whatever you're drinking, and join us.
Midlife and purpose. So
yes.
So there seems to be there's always that's the intersection it seems like for every person, right? And when they get to about their, mid 50s, 60s. I'm sorry, my chair is squeaky, everybody. I apologize.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So we're going to have a squeaky chair today, and we might have some landscapers blowing leaves or whatever. So we got some natural sound effects going on. Anyway, I guess my question for you is, what's the difference, or is there a difference between finding your purpose and a midlife crisis?
Oh, wow. You jumped right in that.
I jumped right in because I think
into the deep end of the pool. We're not wading in, testing the waters.
No.
I think this is my thing. I think you have a midlife crisis because you're not living your purpose. So I think that when people have a midlife crisis, so they go out and buy the fancy car, or they, quit their job and I don't know,
get a divorce.
Oh, I didn't get a divorce. I quit my job. But it's because you're not happy. And the reason you're not happy is because you are not aligned with your life purpose.
I get that. That makes a lot of sense. Do you think there's any truth to, though, that it's like that so let's say your life expectancy is, it's probably not going to be 100, but that your life is also half over, and mortality is kind of staring you in the face? I think midlife, I guess to me, the difference is a midlife crisis is that, oh my God, my life is half over. What have I done with my life? What do I look like? What are my relationships like? Again, what is my work environment like? And I think it's that time where we all kind of it smacks us in the face, and we have to readdress. We're, like you said, we're not happy on some level, but I don't think every midlife crisis results in somebody finding their purpose.
Oh, no. I don't think it results in finding your purpose. No. I think for people to find their purpose, they have to be open to receive whatever messages that are being given. This is it. Like that, trying to think of an analogy, but just where when you found your mate, when you and Phil, You knew it wasn't like, yeah, I don't know about this one.
Well, I don't know.
Or
I
maybe.
was kind of hesitant. if he
Okay, so for all
if
the
he's
people,
listening and he could tell the story, he would be like, he was not going to let me walk away because I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship right now. You're a really nice guy.
okay, that was totally, this will definitely be a show in the upcoming future, or because I too, and for any my friends that are watching who've known Dan and I throughout our marriage, um, Dan asked me to marry him, and I said no. I was like, no. And then I finally
What?
like, well, okay, what else do we have to do? Sure, let's do it. You know, so 30 some years later, here we are. But when you know when something just feels right, you know it. Like when you like what have you purchased something and you knew without hesitation that's what you were supposed to have. Like that
Oh,
was the perfect fit.
yes. Yeah.
So I think when we find our purpose, even if it's not like, and I don't think, let me just say, I think our purposes can shift and morph. So if you start out with something, I think it can channel to another element or something bigger or something smaller or another purpose. But I think that if the reason you're not happy is because you're not living the life you are supposed to be living.
Hmm. No, I
And
agree
I
with that.
think that's the struggle. So I think when we have these midlife crises, we're not happy. There's an element that's not happy in our life. So, I mean, I
So,
suppose someone could be living their midlife crisis and their personal life is just crap. Like, you know, their spouse isn't connecting with them, their children are, I don't know, what are children doing? Just, you know,
doing adult children things that they do.
doing adult children thing. And we love you kids. We do. We do.
Yes.
But, and so I suppose, you know, like you could be living your purpose, but there is this other element that's not working for you and you're not happy. But yeah, I think it's when you're not living your purpose that you're truly not, you're trying to find happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that you feel like you're living your purpose now?
I feel, I feel I'm on the right highway,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not in the express lane.
Mm.
I'm in rush hour traffic and everyone else is around me. And I just need everyone just to get over. So I can just, yeah, that will be another show when I can't say no.
So Katie, one of my kids who actually
Mhm.
does some work for Leone also on the side. Um,
Yeah.
Katie, so I'm just putting out there full disclosure. Katie said to me, she's like, Mom, you ask Leone too many questions on your show. And
Oh, okay.
she's like, it's like you're interviewing her. And I'm like, but I'm asking questions that are pertinent to the show. So, Katie, I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm interviewing Leone, but I just have questions. So, I would like to go back to,
Hold on,
uh,
Katie. Katie, quickly text me during break and I will ask your mother questions. Send me questions, Katie.
so I would like to know, when you quit your job, so you're a
Mhm,
teacher for how many years
mhm.
were you teaching?
About 15, 16.
A special education teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you quit your job, did you quit because it wasn't fulfilling anymore or because you kind of had enough or
I knew there were always things that never, I mean, I didn't like about the job, and it was the paperwork. It
Mhm,
was,
mhm,
and yeah, it was never the students, and it really wasn't, for the most part, the people I worked with. It was the red tape, the
mhm,
documentation, the trying to maneuver statistics into the paperwork.
mhm,
And when it became more about the numbers than about the student,
mhm,
yeah. However, it was always like that. And when the last year and a half of my job or working, I wasn't I wasn't waking up every morning like, yes, I get to go and see the kids.
Hmm.
It
So when you,
was, it
so
was,
when you, so when you did leave, was it because you wanted to explore something more purpose driven? Because I
yeah,
mean, being a special
100%.
education teacher is very, I mean, a lot of people would look at that and say, like, that's a really, takes a specific kind of person to be able to do that day in and day
Hmm.
out. And you also coached Special Olympics. And so you have like stuff that
Hmm.
I think a lot of people would think was purposeful,
Hmm.
um, and probably fulfilling in a lot of ways. So, but back to my original question. So when you left, because my experience is so different, and we'll talk about that when we come back from break. But uh, was it was your hope to then find something that was going to fulfill you more?
I did not leave thinking I was going to find my purpose. I left because I heard that voice, or I heard the voices screaming at me at times that I needed to leave.
Hmm.
And I think the reason I started noticing all the things I didn't like about my job was because I was picking up on the notices or the signs or the signals, or the smack in the face from the universe that, hey, you need to move on and go do something different. You're done. And plus, I didn't want to be that teacher who worked with kids who clearly should have left teaching.
Hmm.
They're just holding on until retirement. And there are some teachers who stay until their last day that they can possibly work, and they're wonderful people. I mean, they could continue for until they're 100. But there are people, regardless if you're a teacher or a mechanic or nurse, doctor, whatever, that it gets to the point where you're no longer happy. You're just not happy, and you're not,
Hmm.
no one around you is happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I left, I cried. I mean, the day I gave my notice, I cried that entire night. I
Mhm.
went, and I think I was miserable for a week. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, let's figure out what I'm doing.
Yep.
And
Next act three, right?
act, yeah, I guess act three. Yeah.
We're coming
Yeah.
up on a break. And because when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about, because my experience was very different, but I kind of feel like our paths crossed in finding our purpose. That's how we kind of met. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that when we come back, about how we got together, how we met each other, how our paths crossed and our purposes crossed.
Mhm.
And yeah, you're listening
Yeah.
to, and that's when I realized, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to, and that's when I realized. I'm Susan Dolci, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Leone Dyer, and we're talking about finding your life purpose today, um, especially in midlife, uh, those things seem to intersect, midlife and purpose. And before the break, we were talking about how Leone, how you walked away from a career as a special ed teacher, um, mostly because of just the bureaucracy and the red tape and stuff. And I was a stay-at-home mom for 25 years. I was in corporate America before I had my kids, and then I got pregnant on my honeymoon. Whoop, whoop. And and so decided that being a stay-at-home mom was what I wanted to do. We both agreed on that, and so uh, and I fell into that, and we talk about this. We're going to talk about it more in depth on another show, but that whole sandwich generation, um,
Mhm.
of I think I was 45 when my dad died. And then I needed to move my mom to where we were, and taking care of my mom and taking care of my kids. And
So
and
when you were 45, when your dad passed,
mhm.
how, like, what ages were your kids?
I think I was 45. I really am bad
Oh,
at math.
about, I mean, approximately, yeah.
Elizabeth was in third grade, Katie was in sixth, and Juliana was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. So
S-
clearly still raising kids. I
right,
mean, yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so when I think it was when Katie, you'd have to help me with the years, but it's been 4 years, right? When we met doing the Diamond Process Coach
We
training.
met 2017.
Yeah. So that was the year Katie graduated. So I was like, I could see that my kids were going to be, my nest was beginning to empty.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to have a plan because I don't want to be that mom who is, invading every aspect of my children's life because I don't feel relevant anymore and I have no idea what to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, that's when so I started a blog somewhere before that, and everything just sort of progressed to me saying that, this life coaching thing sounds like my jam, because it feels like uh, fulfilling, it feels purpose
Mm-hmm.
driven. I felt really comfortable in that role. I kind of like, people would always come to me for advice and stuff like that anyway. So it was just seemed like a really natural extension of what I'd been doing my whole life. And that's how we met.
Yeah.
And
And
go ahead.
no, oh no, I was going to say I totally wasn't, I didn't take the class, oddly enough, to become a coach. And so Susan and I are both life coaches. We're Diamond Process life coaches. And that's where we met. We were both put in the same team. And so we've actually been meeting for a very long time.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. We have. But my goal at that point wasn't to be a life coach. It was just to finish the Diamond Process self-coaching program, but in a different level. And I think that kind of like, that goes back to when you follow the notes or the hints that you're receiving from whatever you want to say, the divine, God, the universe. And I allowed myself, after I left my job, to surrender and just be like, okay, we're just going to let this go. And I was able to just kind of float along. And if something didn't feel right, no, I didn't do it. And if something felt like, okay, it had a little bit of energy to it, I continued with it. And I had no clue. I am a slow learner for sure. It's taken me many multiple tries to get multiple accomplishments in my life. And finding my purpose, I didn't fall into it. I mean,
yeah, and I think that's what I was going to get to next, was that it's a period of discernment. It's like, I don't think you just wake up one day and go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's about exploring, about maybe pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and confidence and courage.
yeah.
To say, I might fail at this, but I don't have anything to lose, because
I'm going to ask you. Okay, go ahead.
okay,
Finish
no,
and
I
then
was
I have a
just gonna
question for
say,
you.
because I think when we are trying to discern what lights us up and where we feel we're going to make a contribution, and that even if, I'm going to put it out there, even if I don't make money at this contribution, because it doesn't
Yes.
finding your purpose and living your purpose, or living a purpose driven life, doesn't necessarily have to equate to an income or a
Yes.
job or a title.
Yes.
So
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want people to think that we're talking about like finding your purpose in a job. It's like, it's about, at least for me, it's about my legacy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's why we're friends. Yes. Because we get it. No. Yeah. This isn't me helping women feel worthy, has nothing to do with making money. Nothing. If I make no money, and yes, I do try. but there are, I mean, it's not about the money. And I come from a family of doers. And probably, unfortunately, I've taken that on a little too much because I do a lot. I serve for a lot of different parts of my life,
Mhm.
but none of it is earning me money. I mean, none of it is for a job. I volunteer. Special Olympics is all volunteer.
Mhm.
You know, so, but if that is your purpose, then you know it. It doesn't matter because it's not a job. It's not a struggle. You're just doing it.
Mhm. Well, I think
And
it's about, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to
mm,
interrupt you. I
mm,
think it's about, in the work that we do, in the diamond process work that we do, a lot of times we'll use the term North Star, not an uncommon term. Um,
no, yeah.
and finding that thing that uh, feeds your soul, that feeds your higher self, that you can now go out and be of service in,
Hmm.
or um, yeah. I mean, at least I guess I say it that way because that's how it is for me. For me, my North Star is about service.
Hmm.
Um, and like, I run my business, I run this show, my other show, on the three words: serve, inspire, and educate. And so I think when that all comes together, I think it's this magical
Hmm.
equation of purpose and doing work that you love. And if that can all come together, it's just like this freaking awesome
Awesome. Yeah. I have
magical event.
the three things when my son was born, and I have no clue where, well, I know where it came from. It wasn't from me. Like, most amazing words of wisdom that come out of my mouth are not from me. I'm just, sometimes I'm even like, wow, that was good. Hold on, let me write that down. Um, but when Alex was born, I remember holding him and Dan was next to me, or maybe Dan was holding him and I was just there. But I remember looking at him and like being that, like that goofiness, like, hey, we're mom and dad, like we're introducing him to us. Um, and saying, and I told him I had no expectations for him other than to be honest, or well, to be respectful, to be true to yourself, and to be of service. And that's kind of been, and then that's been kind of the guide for my children and for Dan and I, or for me mostly. And if you're true to yourself, then I think you are living, then you do find your purpose if you're being true to yourself. And if you're being respectful to yourself and to others, and being of service, that just happens.
So that's a perfect segue into a quote that I'm going to bring up, and I want to talk about this more in the next segment. Um, but uh, it's a quote by Rick Warren, and he says that if you want to find your purpose in life, find your wound.
Oh,
Yeah.
find your wound. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty, I mean, because I feel, based on the way my work is, I'm going off in a slightly different direction with the niche of the coaching that I'm going to be doing. And it is entirely, no, I shouldn't say entirely wrapped up in my wound, but I think, if I don't want to get too much into that, because I also want to talk about retirement. If retirement also affords people more of an opportunity to discern their purpose.
Mhm.
Because I kind of feel like I've always been retired, but I haven't. I've been a full-time mom, but because I haven't had a full-time paying job,
Yes.
I've always kind of felt like I was skating along, and had, people would look at me and they think, well, you've got all this free time. No, you don't have free time when you're raising a family and taking care of a
Oh, no, no,
mother
no.
and a
I can honestly tell you, a lot of people think I'm retired. So I'll see them like, hey, how's retirement? I have no time. I had more time when I worked
yeah.
and was getting my degree and was raising my children than I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to take another break. And when we come back, I want to dig into that wound topic a little bit because I think there's
Yeah.
a
I'm
lot to
writing it
unpack
down.
there. Yeah. You're listening to, and that's when I realized. I'm Susan Dolci. I'm here with Leone Dyer, and we're going to be right back. Hey, we're back. We're talking about life purpose today. You're listening to, and that's when I realized. And I'm Susan Dolci. I'm hanging out with one of my best buds, who's also finding her life purpose in
Yeah.
midlife. And again, this is also the truth and comedy of midlife because we have in the next segment. I'm getting a little ahead. We took a quiz. We took a life purpose quiz, and we're going to talk about that and some of the interesting facts about. People, oh God, I was just going to say old people. Um,
Susan,
I don't know.
where are
What do
you
we call
going?
ourselves? I don't know what to call myself.
We
I'm
are
not a senior
just,
yet. Am I, you're not a senior citizen until 65 now, right? Isn't that how that
I'm
works?
not putting labels. I
Uh,
just did a thing I'm not going to label myself.
no, no. Anyway,
No.
so before the break, we were talking about, I brought up a quote from Rick Warren, and he said, if you want to find your purpose in life, find your wound. And that was sort of a big aha for me when I read that, because I think so I'm a huge fan of Richard Rohr. I know you know that. And one of the things he talks about in all of his books, or in several of his books, is like sort of the segments that we go through in life, right?
Hmm.
When we're young and we're very ego driven. And that's, he's not saying that's a bad thing. Our ego's there to protect us. It,
Yeah.
keeps us insulated from harm and unconscious people and the world. Um, and then we kind of had that, like the 20s to 40s where we're basically just in the grind. We're raising our kids,
Hmm.
we're working, we're just trying to, keep the family fed and a roof over our heads and all that. And then a house over our
The
heads.
house on the
And
ground.
and then in the later years, I'll say that in the later years, we kind of get to this point where our mortality is kind of right in front of us. We can see that we've got maybe, 20, 30 more years, good years, hopefully ahead of us.
Hmm.
And then we start going, okay, I really, what did my life mean? What significance did my life have? What, did my life matter?
Hmm.
And so I think, and also, I think because our mortality is kind of smacking us in the face, we kind of are having this, okay, maybe this is my last chance to fix all the stupid stuff that I did in my younger years, make amends, like, you kind of wake up to all of the
Hmm.
silly things that we did, or the things, or how unconscious we were moving about in our lives in our 20s and 30s and mostly 40s. Um, and not to beat ourselves up about that, because we were surviving, um, but to actually take a step back and look at the bigger picture and look at our connection to a higher power, God,
Hmm.
whatever you choose to call it. Um, and so back to the Rick Warren thing, I think if we explore the wound, and if the wound is healed, that's the
Hmm.
that's the key. If the wound is healed, then we're like, I just want everybody to know how I healed my wound. Think of all of the people that you see on Instagram and Facebook who are
Yeah.
like, this is how I found my inner peace. This is how I
Yeah.
conquered this demon.
No, you know what? I was, when you said that in the last segment, I was like, "Woo, I don't know. Let me think." But 100, yeah, 100%, because I think my aha moment, like I need to figure this out, was not my well, maybe it was my midlife. I don't know, but it was at it was
Numbers,
at the age
numbers,
of
numbers.
37. It was at the age of 37, and I was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer. And I don't want to get into, because we actually are going to talk about that in another segment, but I mean another a show. But I, I knew that I had to get out of my shipwreck mindset, my shipwreck moment, which was me surviving everything that I was holding on to. And I did it. And when you were talking, I realized, wow, I kind of like made it to the shore from my shipwreck, that
Mhm,
where I felt like I had come, like, okay, I get it, I'm healing.
mhm,
And then I quit my job.
mhm.
They happened at the same time. And I just realized that now. I
Well,
will say
and
I did go into special ed, though. I will say I went into special ed because of everything I did in my 20s. I thought, I need to redeem myself. I need to go because, there was some bad mojo happening there. And I got to go serve in a good way. And so, yeah. So totally, 100%. I am. And I'm going to change my answer on this quiz too now.
well, okay, but wait, so okay, so you work with women who
Mhm.
struggle with emotional hunger, right? And
Yep.
unworthiness. And so would you say that that's your purpose came from your healed wound?
100%. And I'm still, and just so, I have not conquered the beast. The
Mhm,
beast and I are on terms. We know the words to say, and how far to push each other. So I'm still struggling, but I know, I know what it takes for someone who is in that survival mode. And I call it the shipwreck years because it's, I mean, everyone can visualize what it would be to be shipwrecked and to be
mhm,
in the water and whatever, alone or not alone, or hanging onto a raft or whatever it is. It's not a pretty sight and you don't feel secure.
mhm.
And that's how I felt a large portion of my life. And so, yeah, I mean, I now, so I was able to overcome that. And
Mhm,
yes, I want to share it with anyone who feels unworthy to be true to themselves
mhm.
and who hides that by emotional eating, who hides it because they don't, when you're so unhappy because you're not finding in those shipwreck moments.
Mhm. And when you're working with somebody like that and they do have that breakthrough, you
Oh,
you feel like $1,000,000.
$1,000,000.
Yeah,
Like I just had another baby.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
And so, like,
How
for
about
me,
you? I'm going to
well,
ask you. Yeah.
yeah, so, I'm on week 22 of, the, JAI, Institute for Parenting coach training, and, this the deeper and deeper I get into this work, this is my jam. Like, I this is my purpose, and I kinda had to the work that I'm going to be doing is very similar to the diamond process work that we do,
Yeah.
just with more science behind it because, kids have attachments and nervous systems, and so do we. Um, and so when I think back to that, like, I had a pretty awesome childhood, but, we all have stuff, shabib that we, had to
Yeah.
deal with from our upbringing and the way we were parented. And I remember when I was pregnant with my oldest child, to me, uh, my biggest job as a parent was not just to raise this tiny human, but it was how do I nurture her soul? How
Mm,
do I connect with this little being, not just as a tiny baby that needs to be fed and also needs connection, but even deeper than that, like her soul, like how do I help her grow into be the fullest expressed version of herself? And really that's the goal of the true mission of the parent coaching that I'm going to be doing is truly building bonds between families and siblings
Mhm.
and with your children, and exploring those connections um, in ways that you can foster your children's fullest potential.
So did you have to heal a wound to get to that, to get to where you are?
Right. And because that's what I was asking myself. I don't know if well,
Because I have to be honest, you are what's the, like the perfect sitcom 1950s, mother. I mean, you are the perfect, you're the one who made all the clothes and
uh,
and I duct taped my kids' clothes together because I couldn't sew. I mean, yeah, I was no, yeah. So you are like, you are a beautiful, brilliant, loving mother.
oh, thank you.
And
I,
so,
I, I think it was a desire to just, to be seen and heard more fully than I was. Um,
mhm,
like I said, my brothers are 12 and 9 years older than me. I was a functional only child. Whew, say that 3 times. Um, and I mean, my parents were, great parents. They had their things, they had their issues, and stuff that came up for them that carried over onto
mhm.
me. But I think it was, yeah, I think it was wanting to, that deep need of being seen and heard in a deeper way than I was afforded as a child. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think it did come
And
from a
is
wound.
that so? Okay, so yeah, that was a wound that you had to heal.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I think we all have to do that as coaches. I mean, we can only take people as far as we've gone ourselves. So if we're not going to
Oh,
heal those wounds, yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. But oh boy, we could keep talking and talking and talking, but we have one more
I
break.
know. We still have to
And
talk about retirement in this quiz.
well, yeah, we're going to talk about this quiz when we can. There's a quiz, Berkeley quiz, the purpose in life quiz results. And we both took these tests independently of each other. And now we're going to share our results, but we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to, and that's when I realized, and we will be right back.
Did you go to
Hey, everybody.
clubs in the 80s?
No, I did not.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
no.
did. That was
Why?
why I became a
Why did I
special ed
not?
teacher.
Why did I not? Because I was married too young. That's why I did
Oh.
not go to clubs in the 80s. So, whole nother, no, not to this husband. No, it was no, been married. Let's see, in 3 weeks, 28 years. Whoop, 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 whoop. Um, okay, so we took a quiz. So
Oh my
when we were
goodness.
prepping for this show and talking about finding our purpose, um, we found a quiz that's it's Berkeley.
Mhm.
It's the Greater Good. I don't know, it's not society, greatergood.com. It's from Berkeley .edu. And do you remember how many questions there were? Was it like
Mm,
20 questions?
20 something, yeah.
Yeah,
The
it was
last, like
extensive.
the last like 3 or 4 were like, like where do you live?
Yeah.
Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Um, yeah, so if you're interested in seeing what we did, it's greatergood.berkeley.edu.quizzes. And so who's going first? And then I'm going to share, well, wait a minute. I want to share some of the data around this
Yeah, go ahead.
because um because we're not going to get to well, maybe we will, but um that this is one of the phrases that I couldn't keep it together. I thought this was so funny. So Patrick Hill of Washington University's Purpose, Aging, Transitions, and Health Lab and his colleagues have also found important advantages for purposeful adults, including better cognitive functioning. Okay, well, we get that, right? Because,
Yeah.
if you keep building new synapses or, like keeping
Yeah.
your brain active, right?
Yeah.
Very important to me. Greater longevity. Okay, right? Because you have connection, you
Yeah.
have purpose, you have
Mhm.
social engagement, and they're
Yeah.
also more likely to exercise, go to the doctor, and floss their teeth.
Okay. I think that is because if you're not happy, maybe you don't care about your your hygiene. I don't, yeah.
I
What
was like,
that's odd. We're not giving this quiz any credit now.
well, but the thing
But
is, like, so is this going to be a question for my dentist? Is like, he'll be like, you must go find your purpose. So I need you to floss more. So,
oh, I don't even want to talk about dentists right now. I'm having a, yeah.
okay.
Okay,
So
so I'm going to first of all, I'm going to tell you what my score is, but can I guess what yours was?
sure.
I'm going to say 68.
I got 60 out of 70.
Shut up. Me too. I am stunned. Katie, if you're listening, stunned. Um, wow. I would have 100% when I got 60, I was like, you're kidding me. Why didn't I get 70? Yeah, I got 62.
Yeah. So it says your purpose score is 60 out of 70, indicating a high level of purpose.
Yeah, mine too.
Um,
Wonder how we
your
could get a perfect score.
lie.
Lie. I guess I'd have to. I know. Not be true to yourself.
Yeah, it says your score suggests that you have a purpose that shapes the smaller decisions in your life and imbues it with meaning.
I think I do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you do.
Yeah.
I
I
wanted to
think,
touch really quick before we like
mhm.
swing out of here about retirement. Do people who are retired have a better, not a better chance, but are they able to find their purpose ease more with ease?
Are you
And
asking me?
sure.
I'm not retired. I don't. No, I think so I don't know if it provides more ease necessarily, but I think the fact that things have slowed down for you, um, at least this is how I would see it in retirement, that you probably have uh, some more money. There's some money in the bank, or you're, a little bit financially
Mhm.
secure. Your life is slower. Hopefully, if you have an abundance of friends, you have, great
Mhm.
social interaction, which I can't say I have. But, and so I think that, especially, so I'm going to use my father-in-law as an example. Oh God, I hope he's not listening. I don't think he knows I have the show, but he was a Chicago cop for, gosh, at least 25 years. And so they had to live in the city. They were required to. And the minute he retired, they pulled chocks and they went as far away from the city as they possibly could go. Well, because my mother-in-law wanted to finally be in a suburb. But he was taken away from all of his friends and all of his social network
Mhm.
and all of the things that he would have continued to do, um, were an hour drive away. So he did not find his purpose.
Mhm.
And so I think, I think it's kind of how you navigate those end years, but I think that time is ripe to, figure out what you want to leave behind. And we have 3
Yeah.
minutes till the end of the show, and we have other things to talk about.
Yes. Oh my
So,
gosh. Yeah.
so Leone's a sticky note fanatic. And if you've
I
been
am a sticky, I have sticky notes all over.
and if
And
you've been listening to our show, you will know that we close the show with a sticky note, because why?
well, because life has not given us a manual or midlife manual, or at least one that we haven't found. So we're giving you one sticky note at a time. And today's sticky note is the purpose of life is a life of purpose.
And that's Robert Byrne, whoever
Oh,
that is.
thank
I'm
you. I did
sorry that
write
I
that
don't know
down
who
on my
Robert Byrne is,
sticky.
but yeah, but the purpose of life is a life of purpose.
The
And
purpose.
I like, yeah, I mean, I think everybody wants that, whether it's raising a family or volunteering or, but just at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, we want to know that our lives mattered
Yeah.
and
And
that
I
we made a
think,
difference.
and I think for everyone who's like, I don't know if I'm living my purpose, if you are happy and if
Mhm.
you're being true to yourself, then yeah, you're
Yeah.
living your purpose.
Yeah. So I'm going to
Regardless.
make so if you can find out more about Leone at leonedyer.com. That's LeoneDyer.com. And you can find out more about my stuff at susandolci.com, DOLCI. But just because it's pertinent, it's relevant to this that I want to bring it up. I have a freebie over on my website. So if you go to click on the circle that's on the left, it says free downloads. But I have a free worksheet that's called A Mom's Guide to Building a Life Without Children. And I just wanted to plug that really quickly. Again, it is free, but I think like I kind of had to walk through that, like
Mhm.
it's 10 questions, and it's sort of like just taking stock of what's going, where you are in your life, where do you want to go, what's working, what's not working, what lights you up. So it kind of nudges you in the direction of finding, your purpose, or at least, the beginning of act 3, the show opener to act 3.
Yeah, or just finding like, and even exploring what makes you happy and what lights you up to
Yeah.
lead you to that purpose.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has been fun.
Yeah.
I hope that everybody is exploring finding their purpose. This has been a really fun show today. Now that the landscapers are gone. And
Yes.
so we have one reminder that we always want to send you away with, and that is that your age, is just the number of years that the world has been enjoying you. It's just a number. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been a great show,
Ew.
and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for being here with us today on And That's When I Realized. We are here to shed some light on the misconceptions around midlife by sharing real life stories and a fresh perspective.
Look, we know it's not easy, but change is constant and inevitable. Let's explore what it means to move through challenges with a dose of humor and embrace each challenge, each new discovery with a higher sense of understanding. We hope you heard something today that made you laugh and recognize the truth and comedy of midlife. See you next time.